My husband knocked out my brother for calling me a whore, and my parents want me to chose. As my title says, basically. This past weekend, me and my husband were over at my parents' house for a BBQ. The day was going great until my brother, for some reason, started to have a go at me, calling me names and belittling me. My husband pulled my brother aside and had a talk with him, and the insults stopped. An hour or so later, we were standing around talking with some friends and family members, and my brother came up to me and told me I am a whore. His exact words were, "You know you are a fucking whore, right?" He said it loud enough for almost everyone at the party to hear. All I saw was my husband next to me. Look at me. Then I felt a push to the side. My husband stepping in front of me. And the next thing was my brother out cold on the ground with blood on his face. All I heard is my mother yelling and my husband saying, "You don't talk to my wife," like that I warned you already. Before I continue, my husband didn't hurt me. He didn't push me hard or anything like that. Don't know how to describe it, but it was like a push that someone will give you when they are trying to pass. I went like one step back. That is all. I am not mad at my husband. I'm mad at my brother the whole day. He was demeaning me, insulting me, belittling me. Don't know where this came from, as he has never talked to me like that or to anyone that I know of. The bigger problem I have it that I have to choose. Either my husband or my parents. My parents are pissed and have given me an ultimatum. I either leave my husband and divorce him, or they cut me off completely. My husband doesn't give a crap that they are mad. The only thing he is mad about it that he only got one punch in his words. I love my husband and don't want to lose him, but I also don't want to lose my parents. They have supported me through a lot and have always been there for me. I know they are serious, as this is the first time they have ever issued me with an ultimatum. They also threatened my husband with assault charge, but he doesn't care and welcomed them to do it. I'm stuck between a decision that will change my life forever, and I'm panicking. I have received messages for friends and other family members that have given me support and condemned my husband, but they are leaning more on the support side. Any advice will be appreciated. Edit 2. Clarify. I am to choosing my husband. I have never questioned that, but I also don't want to lose my family. I am very family-oriented, and family to me is everything. I want to find a solution where I can keep both. I found nudes on my wife's phone of another man and herself. So my wife and I have been together with the exception of a long break when we were 18 and 19 for 10 years. She left me for another guy, and every year or two since we've been back together, I keep finding things on her phone. The first was a FetLife account where she was chatting with multiple men. The second was a coworker she was speaking explicitly with. Third, she asked a random neighbor out for coffee in our apartment complex in a flirting manner. And finally this. I found nudes of her that I'd never seen before, and looked in the deleted pictures on her phone and found pictures of another man's nudes. We've had some rough patched with my finances and depression as well as hers. I must admit I was feeling sexually frustrated last year and went to a massage parlor but didn't go through with the end part. And she found out. She's insists that nothing has become physical any of these times and would leave if she were going to go through with it, because she did when that's what she wanted. Our relationship is great, except for this horrible biannual ritual of her seeking attention. She makes the money in the relationship, and I'm very limited in my capacity to support myself for any sort of trial separation. I don't want to leave. I love her, but I feel I need to advocate for myself despite my own wrongdoings. I feel so trapped and hopeless. My twin sister and I took a genetic test, and we did not share any DNA. My twin and I are fraternal twins. Recently, we took a genetic test for fun because we wanted to see what we shared and the differences between us. Since we still share genes, fraternal twins are like siblings genetically. My grandparents had suggested the tests and got them for us, so our parents didn't know about it, but our results made no sense. My twins was coming up almost completely as Eastern European and Western European, which makes sense, as most of my family are Croatian, German, or Austrian. So all of that would be accurate. But mine wasn't anything like that. It was almost completely Scandinavian, with some Russian and a couple of other places. Neither of which were on my twin's result. She had a very small percentage of Scandinavian, but that was it, and we had no matched DNA. which clearly seemed impossible. We were literally twins. We have to share DNA. My twins said they must have mixed my sample up with someone else. We ended up contacting the company, and my twin and I took a test again. It was the same result. Both my twin and I were really confused. We told our grandparents, and they just said that was interesting and said nothing else. My twin said we should tell our parents and see if they had ever done a genetic test, or if any of our siblings had, and then we could see if somehow ours were still right. I mean, it kind of made sense I'd have Scandinavian, because I'm much taller than my mother, and quite a bit taller than my twin, and I'm way better at football and handball than she is. And I'm very blonde compared to the rest of my family, but I had thought it was the German. When we told our mother, they reacted almost the same way as my grandparents, but she seemed annoyed and said that they're inaccurate anyway, and our grandparents shouldn't have told us to take one. And when we asked our father, he basically said nothing. I'm confused. I know my twin thinks it's just a mistake, but I don't think so. We have to share DNA, about 50%. That's how twins and siblings work. Even though we're fraternal, we should still share quite a bit of DNA, but other explanations don't make sense. My mother can't have cheated on my father, because my twin and I would still share DNA, just less because we would have different fathers. The results mean we can't share a parent, or even be related. But I don't see why my parents would adopt me if I'm not their child, when I don't think they've ever been to Scandinavia, and why they'd adopt a baby that's almost exactly the same age as their baby. I'm panicking. The person I'm closest with in the whole world, who I thought I even shared the womb with, might not even be related to me. My birthday might not even be real. None of this makes any sense, and no one is telling me the truth. I'm also scared my twin might tell her boyfriend about it, and then people might end up knowing that I'm some kind of fraud, and my family isn't my family at all. Edit. I called the clinic where my mother gave birth to all of my siblings, the day of my birthday. My mother is in the records, but only for one birth, not two, not twins. I don't know if it's an error, or my mother didn't give birth to me. Edit. I called the clinic where my mother gave birth to all of my siblings, the day of my birthday. My mother is in the records, but only for one birth, not two, not twins. I don't know if it's an error, or my mother didn't give birth to me.